Hey gorgeous, welcome back to Life in Style. Today's video is going to be a tutorial on how I do my eye looks because I have hooded eyes. You can see right now as I'm looking into the camera that this top part of my eyes basically goes over my lid, and that's what it means to have hooded eyes. Where you see people who have a lot of lid space, they don't have that issue. People with hooded eyes really need to make or be conscious basically of where they place their eyeshadow color in order for it to be able to be seen by anyone who's looking at you. So if you're looking someone like, you know, just straight, like I'm looking into the camera now, you want to be able to see color above the natural crease, because our natural crease basically just hides underneath that top flap of the eye. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do this eye incorrectly, and then I am going to show you how to fix that on this eye. So we're going to use the same colors on both eyes, same products, all of that stuff. It's just the technique that's going to be different. So just understand that this video is not necessarily a tutorial on this look, although of course you can follow along if you like the look. It's really a tutorial on technique and how to make sure that your eyeshadow can be seen if you have hooded eyes. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I've already primed my eyelids. I used my MAC paint pot in Painterly. As you can see, I have that a different shade than the rest of my face. I haven't done my foundation or anything like that because I wanted to make sure that I could just be as messy as I wanted to be with these shadows and not have to worry about any fallout. I've also set down the primer with an eyeshadow that's close to my skin tone just to make sure that we don't have any skipping or any jumping or anything with the shadows that we apply after the primer. We're going to start with some Inglot shadows. Again, it doesn't matter what shadows you use. This is really all about the technique. I'm going to be doing a purple look today, and what I'll do is I will still put down all of the products that I use in the description bar below in case you're interested. But again, the colors really don't matter. It's really the placement of the product. So I am going to start out with my Sigma Tapered Blending E40. This is what I usually start with any eye look. If you've seen my videos, you know how I start carving out my crease pretty high. But again, on this eye, we're going to do it incorrectly. So I'm going to dip into a light purple in my Inglot palette, and just to show you this is what it looks like. So I'm going to dip into this color right here. So what we're going to do with this eye is we are going to start on the natural crease. Usually your natural crease is where kind of like where your eyeball finishes, or that's where I feel mine is here. Again, as I look straight, it starts to disappear. So I'm going to start popping that color in the natural crease and not really bringing it up. So I'm just going back and forth in windshield wiper motions, but not necessarily bringing it up the way I normally do. And before I forget, let me go ahead and zoom you in so you can see better what I'm doing. So again, just keeping it in the natural crease there, just back and forth, windshield wiper motions. So I have that color set down in the natural crease there, and just in case you hear like any whirring or white noise, I do have a fan on down here. Even though I'm in the basement, it is extremely hot. I'm not even going to say extremely warm. It is hot down here. So you're probably going to see my skin glistening because it is just bad down here. So the next brush I'm going to pick up is my Sigma Diffused Crease E38. That I'm going to continue to put in the natural crease just to add a little more depth and dimension. I'm going to pick up a darker purple, also from the Inglot palette, which is this one right here. So again, just back and forth in windshield wiper motions on the natural crease. You'll see how I separate these two colors on the other eye, because right now I'm just working as if, you know, I wasn't going to have this eyeshadow color show. I just want to work with the natural crease and not actually carve out the shadow the way I normally do. Even the side too can make a difference. Like here, I'm not going to bring it out too much, where I usually will bring it out very far, because when I clean up, I want to make sure that I have still shadow left. So I'm not bringing it out as far as I'm going to bring it out on the other eye. So not only moving vertically, but also horizontally with hooded eyes is going to make a huge difference as to how the finished product is going to look. So I'm okay with the way that's set down right now. And you could obviously still see a little bit of it, but when you see this eye and the difference, you're gonna see where this eye is really not you know, not the way you should do it if you have hooded eyes. So next I'm just going to go into my Pat McGrath Mothership Subversive La Vie en Rose palette. Again, it doesn't matter what shadows you use. This is all about the technique and placement of them. I just wanted to do a purple eye look today, so I decided to grab this palette. So I'm going to go into the shade Paranormal here, which is a matte purple. I'm going to stick with the E38 from Sigma. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that shade, and I'm going to go into the natural crease again. As you can see, it darkens it up very much, but this is basically just adding a little more depth and dimension to the eye. I'm just going to blend that out a bit with a fluffy brush that has no color on it. And once you start blending, that's another thing, is that you want to add a lot of color. And again, placement is important, because once you start blending, I'm going to lose a lot of that up top. As you can see, a little bit of the purple here and there, but not a lot. I am going to then grab my Sigma Blending E25 brush, and I'm going to go into Purple Rain, which is the dark purple that you see over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to the corner of the eye, the outer corner, and then move it up just a bit. And we're going to go back in with the fluffy brush that I used earlier, no color, and we're going to blend that again. So just to add a little bit of kind of emphasis there in the middle, as you can see it's a little blank, I'm just going to pick up the gold from this palette, which is Gold Nectar. I'm just going to grab a little bit dry and put it in that area where it's a little blank. Again, just to add a little interest. And then I'm just going to grab that fluffy brush again, and I'm going to blend just around the edges so that it kind of flows into the purple naturally. Then to add a little interest to the top of the eyes, I am going to grab Rose Risque, which is this pink in the middle right here. I'm going to grab just a little bit with another E40. I just want it to be clean from any other color. I'm going to grab a little bit of that pink, and then I am going to go over top the purple, again just to add a little interest and also to further blend out the top of it. I'm going to be using just a matte white, and again, whatever color you like. If you like shimmer on the brow bone, that's absolutely fine. The one I am using is the LA Colors Duotone. This is the black and white one. I'm just going to dip into the white, nothing fancy or over the top, just to carve out the brow bone and make sure that's highlighted. So that's pretty much the wrong eye done there. So when I'm looking straight ahead at the camera, this is basically the way you would, you would look at somebody straight ahead. A lot of that color is lost. You could see the gold still because it's right at the bottom of the lid, of course, but all of that depth and dimension that you see there in the natural crease is going to be lost when you do this. So you're not going to see all of those great purples that you used to create that nice effect there in the natural crease, because it's just basically going to hide. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the other eye, starting again with the Inglot shadows, and I'm going to be using, like I said, the same brushes, same colors, just the technique is going to be different. So I'm going to pick up the E40 like I did earlier, and I'm going to dip into that purple shade, the light one, which is this one right here. And like I said, I will link everything down below just in case you're interested. So I'm going to pick up that shade. So instead of starting in the natural crease, I'm going to start well above it. And I'm going to pick up that purple shade. We're going to go way up here, and we're going to start going back and forth in windshield wiper motions. Same as we did before, but again, the placement is completely different. Here's where I'm at, and here's where my natural crease is. The color that I usually use first is not only used to carve out the crease, but also as a transition color to make sure that any other shadows I put on top of it are just blended out easier. And I'm also bringing the color out more this way so that we have a lot more showing in the corner. And you will automatically, because it's higher, so you're going to have a lot more showing on the corner because of where or how high you've placed that initial color. So I want you to take a look at that. Already you can see all of this up top, whereas you don't really see anything here. And not only that, you have a space of skin showing here between the brow bone highlight and then where the top of the pink stops. So that alone does not look right. It looks like you're missing something. So not only am I carving out the crease, sometimes I will bring this color a little lower into the crease area just to make sure that there is no space so that all the colors are going to melt together beautifully. So that's all set. I'm going to pick up the E38 that I had used earlier, and still in the Inglot palette, I'm going to pick up this darker purple here, and that color there, I'm going to start in the natural crease and then I will move it up. So I still want to add that depth and dimension, so that's why I am starting in the natural crease, but then I'm going to go ahead and bring that up a bit and obviously out so that you can actually see this color. You want to be able, basically, that any way you look, whether it's straight ahead, if you're looking down or to the side or what have you, that people are going to see a really cohesive look, well blended, and just, again, with placement being correct. I'm going to then move back into the Pat McGrath palette, and I'm going to pick up the, let's see, the Paranormal shade, which is this matte purple right here. I'm going to go into, again, the natural crease to continue to add that depth in that portion of the eye or on the eyelid, but then of course I'm going to move it around and make sure that it's well blended. I'm going to grab the fluffy brush with no color and start blending that out further to make sure that we have no harsh lines. So I'm just going to show you so far where we're at with this. Already the purple is way up here where the purple is down here on this eye. You can absolutely see the difference where you see purple gradiating up this way as opposed to just skin and then the highlight for the brow bone. So I am going to then pick up Purple Rain with the E25 that I was using earlier. And we're going to do that on the outer corner and then bring it in. But here, of course, we're going to go much higher and farther out than we did in the other eye. So right now I just want my placement on the color, on the eye with this color, and then we will blend out after. But again, I'm bringing this up higher than I did on the other eye. I'm going to go ahead and continue to build that color because we are going to blend later and we don't want to blend away too much of this color. And then I'm going to take the fluffy brush, no color, and start blending that out. Now I'm not just blending out the edges either, I'm blending around the entire eye because I've used different colors. I want to make sure that there are no harsh lines. So I'm going to pick up that pink on the other E40 like I did to the other eye, and I'm going to use it to go up top so that we get a little bit more of a different shade up there, but I'm also going to be using that pink to blend out the top of that purple. So already I'm sure you can see the difference as to both of these eyes or eyelids, I should say, and where the placement of color makes an absolute difference when you're looking at someone straight ahead if you have hooded eyes. What I really want here too, and you can see that on this side, is that I want to get, it's up to you. There are necessarily no rules in makeup as to where you put your color. But when I'm doing a look like this where you have a good amount of color, not just something very natural or everyday, I don't want there to be too much space between the actual color and where I'm highlighting. And even if there is a little space, I want it to be so well blended that you can't really tell necessarily that there's a lot of skin space between that before you do the brow bone highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go back into my LA Colors matte white, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight the brow bone. So you can see there that it's basically just almost melted. So you have the dark purple, you're moving it into the lighter purple, then to the pink, and then eventually into the highlighted brow bone there. So I just want you to take a quick look at how that looks there and how much space or skin lid space there is there between the edge of the pink and the highlighted brow bone. And then here where it just kind of gradiates beautifully and blends beautifully to the top of the eye. I realized that I forgot to add the gold on this eye, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the brush that I'm using, even though it is being used dry, is the Sigma Cream Color E58. So I'm picking up a little bit of that gold and popping that in the middle like I did to the other eye. Then I'm going to take the fluffy brush and just lightly blend out the edges because I don't want to necessarily get rid of the purple, but I don't want the gold to kind of have harsh lines. I want it to make it look like it's melting into the rest of the eye look. So that's basically the top of the eyes done. What I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to do my winged liner, and then we'll talk about tips on how to also do your liner, whether you're winging it out or not, also to make sure that you can see a lot of the eyelid space or as much eyelid space as you actually have, especially if you have hooded eyes. I've learned over time that there are techniques to do eyeliner so that you're not really overwhelming the eye with too much of it. So I'm going to do that off camera, also finish the rest of my face, and then we'll be back. So I've gone ahead and done the rest of my face and also have done the eyeliner. Now you can tell a marked difference between this eye and this eye, like with respect to the eyeliner. What I did on this eye is I kept the line very thin. Now I used gel eyeliner. This one is the Maybelline Eye Studio gel liner in Blackest Black, but again, you can use any gel liner or even a pencil liner that you like if you're not into gels. Whatever you use, just make sure that the line is not as thick as this one is. Here I did a normal kind of cat eye look, the way I normally will do my winged liner, and I did it thick. As you can see there, we've lost the gold completely on that eye because the gold wasn't that low or that high to begin with. Here, because I kept the line very thin, you could still see a little bit of that gold. Plus, the eye doesn't completely close up. As you can see when I'm looking straight ahead at you, how this eye just really completely closes up. Now this look, as far as the eyeliner, if you want to do it even with hooded eyes, it's absolutely fine. This is still a look in and of itself. But if you have eyeshadow on your eye and you do a very thick line, you're not going to be able to see a lot of it. So what I do, I mean, even here, if I did a thick line, you'd still be able to see the color because I did push it up so high on the lid. But overall, another tip or trick that you can do if you want to make sure that you see a lot of lid space is just keep the eyeliner very thin and very fine on the eye. I am going to add lashes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a very kind of voluptuous lash on this eye and then just a nice everyday lash on this eye. So I decided to off camera do the bottom of the eyes, also put on the lashes, and finish off with my lips, just in the spirit of saving time. I do want to talk about the lashes. As you can see from, you know, this eye to this eye, I did put on different lashes. Now, of course, like anything, there are necessarily no rules in makeup. You can wear whatever lashes you want. You can do your winged liner as thick as you want, whatever. These are just a couple of tips and tricks to use if you prefer to have a little more lid space showing as opposed to not if you have hooded eyes. So well, let's start with the incorrect eye. Obviously I didn't put the shadow anywhere near as high as I did this side. So that is basically like trick number one, is to make sure that your placement of your eyeshadow is well above the natural crease. And I mean well above, because once you're looking at someone straight, the top of the eyes is absolutely going to come over your natural lid, hence having hooded eyes, and cover up any work you've already done. Now, if I do like this, even with the lashes, you can see a little more of the purple there, but once I turn back to my kind of natural state, it's gone. It's all gone because it's all gone underneath the top of the eye there. Secondly, if you don't bring it out too far out to the side, you're not going to see a lot of it like you can see here. So again, that's another thing. Once it's hooded, and depending on how hooded it is, you may not even be able to see the outer corner of your eye. Again, needing, you needing to bring the color up more is how that's going to fix that. Third, what I did with the eyeliner, as you saw earlier, is I did it a little thicker on this side. Basically, we lined over the gold so you couldn't see the gold anymore, and then you lose any color or most of the color that you have on the eyelid, even more so with the eyeliner, so that once you are kind of in your natural state again, you're going to lose a lot of that because the line is way too thick. Again, if you like a thick line, that's absolutely a look in and of itself. If you don't want to put a lot of color on, maybe just a color wash and a nice thick wing, and then you like red lipstick, that's absolutely a gorgeous look. But if you're trying to do a look that has a lot of different colors and you want the look to show, doing a thick liner is not going to necessarily help you achieve that goal. Then doing the lashes, as you can see here, I used my velour lashes in See-Through here. That is a much more voluptuous lash. That is going to be something that is going to give you a lot of drama on the eye. So again, as you could see, it's a very big lash, so it's going to cover up even more so what you've done. So you could see the liner. I mean, it's not that far out this way, but it really covers it up, and it covers up any color that you have. Now on this eye, the lash that I opted for is the Kiss lash. I want to say it's called like the faux line or something like that, but the style of this lash is Little Black Dress. So as you can see, you still have a little bit of lash there, obviously. Now remember, I don't have my own lashes, so this is going to look even more natural. But if you have your own lashes and you want to use another lash, this is a great alternative so that you still add a little bit of thickness to it. This is not such a long lash, but you're going to add a little bit of thickness to it, but you're not going to cover up what you've already done with this eye. You could see the comparison is absolutely day to night here, with this pretty much being covered up, and this you can see a lot of the purple. Also with the top here, like I said earlier, when you're doing your brow bone there, you see a lot of lid space here because I stopped the color at the natural crease, whereas this color I continue to blend it upwards, so you have a nice gradation of your dark purple, all that depth and dimension with the different purples that I used, and then also the pink up top here, and then finally the brow bone highlight. So that, again, it just melts upward beautifully. So this is basically the finished product as to how not to do your eyes if you have hooded eyes, and how to do them if you have hooded eyes. This is just going to be your best bet to make sure that the colors and look you did actually can be seen. So I hope this video was informative for you. I hope it's something that you can use in your everyday life, and it's something that, basically a video you took something away from it. If you have any tips and tricks, any advice, things I didn't talk about, please absolutely put it down in the description bar, because this is what I do, but there may be other things that you do that work absolutely beautifully for people with hooded eyes that I may be able to use as well. If you have any specific questions on anything, please just leave it down in the description bar. I will make sure to answer that. But thank you very much for spending a few moments of your day with me. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also click that little bell so you get alerted as to whenever I upload new videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.